Hey guys, Sheik the Geek again with the space heater in the background because it was 60 degrees a couple days ago, and then we had essentially a blizzard. It snowed for 2 days straight, but so it's cold again. So apologize for the space heater being in the background. Hopefully you can still hear me. Um, so I was able to find the official tournament document for Star Wars Unlimited, which is the new TCG that is coming out literally in like a week or two. I think 1 week, 1 week and like a couple days. Is the official launch. I'm going to do a bunch of pre-releases this weekend. 3 pre-releases in total. 2 on Saturday, which right now it's Thursday still. It's gonna be Friday in a little bit, and then 1 on Sunday for a total of 3. That after the additional packs, that's gonna roughly give me about a box worth of cards to work with, and I'll just buy singles to fill out whatever decks I decide to build after that. Um, so I'm planning on doing a few videos before, during, and after the events just to see. A couple of events I'm going to are going to be smaller events, but the one that I'm going to on Saturday might be a slightly bigger events. I do believe that they did have player caps, but we'll see if they fill the player caps, and also pulls. What I actually managed to get out of my packs, so that should be pretty interesting and fun. First chance I actually get cards I get to keep. I have played several demo games, but I haven't had any cards I can keep other than my Darth Vader promo that I got for the free play demo, which is sitting next to me. Um, so yeah, onto the actual document. I didn't want to make this a long video, but there were some notable things that stuck out here that were very interesting to me for this game that they're doing. And this is their official tournament document in PDF form. This is like the whole thing. Um, it's 18 pages, so a very healthy size document. Some of the stuff I wanted to go over. The first part up to about, what was it? Match time and how they handle draws was pretty standard stuff. There was one thing about sleeves and playmats that was kind of interesting. I do believe some other games do this as well, but I don't think it's enforced at all. Um, so for Star Wars Unlimited, for their card sleeves, if your card sleeves have art on them, they have to be Star Wars Unlimited artwork. Which I believe that's somewhere around here. It should be. Obviously, the sleeves have to be the same size and color for your deck and side deck. This game does have side deck mechanics. Um, at competitive tier events, which is above casual, which casual tier is basically just locals. Competitive tier is anything above that, roughly. It would seem so far. Um, Obviously, if a sleeve breaks, you gotta replace it with the sleeve that you already have that matches. Casual tier sleeves are not required but encouraged. Um, yeah, it should be here somewhere. If I saw that. Oh, it's a second section on sleeves. Uh, when using sleeves, these are the rules. Uh, one card sleeve assigned, like no super holographic or foiled sleeves, because those are too bright and shiny. They reflect too much. Sleeves with graphics on the front that hinder the card text. That's standard for most TCGs. You don't hinder the card text at all, because that will give you into a lot of trouble, because you need to be able to read the cards. Sleeves with artwork are permitted as long as they are officially licensed Star Wars Unlimited sleeves. This is the one that people are having issues with. Let's see if I can highlight that, make it a little bit easier to see. Yeah, so most TCGs I know don't do this because there's so many sleeves out there. It's not exactly hard to enforce, and there's nothing wrong with art sleeves inherently. It's the people who run the game, make the game, want to promote their brand. They want to promote the game. So if there's art sleeves of any other games on it or anything else, it's considered as advertising for that product or that item, even if it's nothing, or like an inanimate object artwork, it's still considered advertising another brand essentially, so it's discouraged. I think the only company that does it, I believe, is, oh gosh, I don't even remember the name of it, but it's the smaller companies that do that because they're still trying to grow their brand. So they feel anything that's advertising anything else is distracting or is taking away from their brand, and they don't want that. They want all advertising to be just their brand. A great way to solve this problem is what Yu-Gi-Oh actually does, and I think Pokemon does it as well, is that they just give out a pack of their branded sleeves for people who are going to be on stream, or if they're in like the top 8 or top 4. I know Yu-Gi-Oh does that across the board at competitive and higher level events. Pokemon, I think, only does it on request, or if your sleeves are damaged, or if you're at like Worlds. Yu-Gi-Oh just does it, which I think that's a good thing. I think every TCG should just do that. They should just have their own brand sleeves just available. And if you're on stream, or if you're in like a top 8 or top 16 or at Worlds, they just give you a pack of the sleeves to re-sleeve your cards. You can't say no to it because they're running the event and you're trying to place and win, so you're going to take the sleeves and re-sleeve your deck. There's no reason not to. So that's a great way to basically solve this problem and outright eliminate this rule from even needing to exist for their competitive events. This isn't going to be enforced at casual tier events because you don't even have to have sleeves, but yeah. Most people just use plain sleeves anyway, like Dragon Shields or Ultra Pros. But there are some people who do like artwork sleeves. That's going to be an issue. Hopefully this can be revised at some point in the future, because this is a rule that shouldn't even need to exist anymore. Every TCG has their own name brand sleeves as of now. Even before the game comes out, they have their own name brand sleeves, like this game does. Alter TCG also has their own name brand sleeves, and the game's not even out yet. Just have extras on hand and provide those to the players. That solves that problem entirely. The other one that was here was something for playmat. See if I can find that. That must have been back down here. Game mats. Players are permitted to use game mats during matches, which is normal. All game mats are required to be either solid colors with no artwork on them, or officially licensed Star Wars Unlimited game mats. This should also be applied for the competitive tier or higher events, but it wasn't mentioned here, so this will have to be revised automatically. For the most part, most people don't have plain colored playmats, unironically. Unlike with sleeves, most playmats don't come in plain colors, and the ones that do, people don't buy them because they're plain colored. Yeah, plain color playmats haven't really been a thing since like very late 90s, early 2000s. Pretty much every playmat has art on it. Like all my playmats, for even the games that I don't play, have art on them. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a plain colored playmat ever. And I wouldn't buy one either. So this is also a rule that needs to be revised. Kind of a dumb rule. Just like with the sleeves, this is solved by them just providing their own playmats for players to use on streams or the official competitive events for like top 8. Pokemon has their own like unique design table that's probably patented that they use for their events with no playmat. So they play playmat lists for Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh, they give you a 2-player playmat with even zones on it that you have to use. You cannot use your own playmat for Yu-Gi-Oh competitive high level events at that point. But the rule is rarely enforced, even with Yu-Gi-Oh for the playmats, other than if you're on stream or not. Yu-Gi-Oh is very lenient about it. Magic, I think they also provide their own playmats, their name branded playmats. So it's just like, this is another rule that's solved by the company itself, just providing the stuff you need. It's just like, if you're advertising your game, you should be wanting to advertise it by just providing the players the product to use if they're on stream or in top 8 or whatever. It solves the problem entirely and makes the rule not even need to exist really. But that's also another rule that has to be revised. So after that, there's a couple more things, which is match time. So here they have round time. For best of 3, you have 55 minutes. This is actually a lot of time. I believe Magic was the most for a while at 50. I'm pretty sure there's still 50. The only other game I played that know of that goes more than that is HeroClix, where I think HeroClix has 60-minute rounds, but that's a miniatures game, so you need the extra time for that, and it's only a best of 1 with no side decking or draw scenarios for HeroClix. There has to be a winner, and there is no best out of 3. Yeah, so 55 minutes is a lot of time, almost just a straight hour per game. For best of 3, when this game is designed to be very fast. Even the games I played with the demo decks and the starter decks were very quick. Well under 30 minutes to even complete best 2 out of 3. Took less than that. So I don't know what the need is for such a huge time limit for a game like this, but time limit can always be revised as time goes on and more sets release. I did think we did see that with Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! I think they both lowered the amount of time because games got so fast that the old previous time limits just wasn't necessary anymore. Because I do believe Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to be 50 or 45 minutes, but then they cut it all the way down to like 40 because the game's so fast now. They don't need that much time to complete a best out of 3 with side decking. So I think this could happen with this game as well. Once they get further into it and the game's still going on for a while, and there's several years of sets in rotation or whatever they decide to do for the game, that we can see that time limit shortened. 55 minutes is a lot of time. So that was time, rounds. There's something else in here I want to talk about. It was match resolution, which is actually right under it. This is how they're basically handling draws, which is also kind of weird. If players are tied for number of games won, then both players receive a loss for the match. Yeah. I don't think any game does this. Pokemon has a thing where if there's a draw when no one clearly wins at the end of a best of 3, both players get basically a 1-point win. They just count it as a draw. But for them, they're saying that no, you both get a loss. That's really bad. That is going to force players to try to finish games very quickly, which is a good thing. But I can see this leading to a lot of unnecessary scenarios where something could happen or a delay and then time is called, and then it's just like, well, this person was clearly in a position to win, but time was called and the opponent is not conceding, so it's just like, oh well, now we just both get a loss. Now in the rules it does say that you can concede at any time, which is a good thing. Pokemon also kind of has that. You can even concede after a game in Pokemon technically. So that is a good thing, but I don't agree with both players getting a loss. Draws should be allowed. Like, yeah, it sucks. It also sucks for certain computer systems, whatever you're using to run your tournament software. Some can handle draws, some really can't. It skews the player ratings during a tournament when there's a lot of draws. But draws kind of need to exist. They're a necessary evil, especially in best out of 3 scenarios. Giving both players a loss isn't the solution. I don't agree with that at all. So that's another rule that's going to have to be revised at some point. I feel like it's going to lead to way too many issues down the road. Um, yeah, this is just an overall not a very good rule here. That's the one I probably disagree with the most. Is both players get a loss on a draw. That should not be a thing. The other thing I found very interesting is the sideboard and deck changes. Unless this is revised and reworded, this is also different than most other TCGs, I believe. So playing a best of 3, you're allowed the side deck, which is normal between games. With this one, players must take care that both their deck and side deck are still of legal size after making changes. That's normal. That is, which they go on to clarify, at least 50 cards in the draw deck, and at most 10 cards in the sideboard. This goes on to the next page. Players must make their adjustments and set up for the next game within 3 minutes. That's actually the same as Yu-Gi-Oh, I believe. The previous game is ending. When the player is done making their adjustments, they must show their opponent that there are the same number or fewer cards in their sideboard as there are listed on the deck list. So you notice that or fewer part. That's definitely a change. I don't think any other TCG does that. What they're saying is essentially with your 50 card main deck and your 10 card side deck, you effectively have a 60 card deck for games 2 and 3. Meaning that unlike with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, with games that also have side decking mechanics, your side deck has to be the same number of cards when you started after games 2 and 3 after you side deck. With this game, you can just put all 10 cards in your side deck and then have games 2 and 3 with a 60 card deck and no side deck. That's definitely different. You don't have to take cards out of your deck to side deck for this game, which is very interesting. Like I said, I don't think any other TCG does that currently. It's usually enforced that your side deck has to stay the same number, so you're taking cards out to put cards in, which makes it a harder choice. But for this one, they're saying you can just put the cards in there and then just not take them out. I do see scenarios where people are going to, I mean, it already happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic where people forget to unside deck. They leave their cards in their main deck, and then they start the next round and they get a game loss because their deck is illegal, because their side deck is already in their main deck. With this, I can see that happening even more so with your deck, is if your side deck is just in your deck. I'm sure you'll probably, it seems like you're probably more likely to notice it if you have a side deck and then you go into your next round and you don't have your side deck, it's in your main deck. But if you forget and you start right away, that's probably going to be a game loss. I'm sure it's in this document somewhere. I'm not gonna find it, but yeah. So that's very interesting that you can just add the cards to your main deck and then just leave them in there. I can't really say that offers any higher level of strategy or play unlike other games that have side deck rules. I don't really think it does. And typically you never want a bigger deck, you always want a smaller deck. The only exception is like Mill. Mill and Stall Mill are the only ones that want to have a bigger deck at all times. But I don't think that's going to be a thing for this game, at least not yet. So that's very interesting. I think that's one that a lot of people probably didn't notice that I picked up on playing so many TCGs. Like, this is a very weird ruling and a little bit different than other games. I'm hoping they don't revise this to other games, but they may have to, just if it becomes too much of an inconvenience and everyone's forgetting to unside deck, they might just have to do it and reword it. I do like it when TCGs try to do something different than every other TCG, which this is different. But I also see this leading to more problems than it is being like a strategic difference for the sake of their own game. Let's see, note taking, tiebreakers. I believe that's pretty much it. There's only a couple more pages after that. So yeah, that's the entire policy document. I believe it's on the official website, so you can download it and read it for yourself. It's in PDF format. So you're gonna have to open up your browser with PDF files enabled to actually go through this. 18 pages, but it's not super long. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that I noticed about it. I'm gonna put this video up on my YouTube channel for anybody else who's gonna be playing this game. Stuff to keep in mind for the competitive level and higher events, because remember, all this stuff only applied to the competitive level and higher events, not to casual events, which is aka locals. Some people may try to enforce it, but we'll see how that goes. Just keep the rules in mind. Hopefully, like, the playmat rule isn't really enforced, and even the sleeve rule. I hope that's not enforced at local level. But yeah. So that's it. I'll see you all next time. Thank you.